We've talked a lot about 2010 and 2012, which are obviously our next big national contest, where Republicans are going to have an opportunity to, turn back some of the things that have been done under this Democratic president and Democratic Congress. But as you are well aware, we have a big election here this year in 2009 in New Jersey. We finally have a chance to turn things around. What I'd like to know is, I don't know if you're specifically doing any seminars or anything in New Jersey in the near future. I know I attended one myself in Atlantic County back in 2008. It really was a great experience. But what GOPAC has to offer a state like New Jersey, a northeastern state, some strong county parties, but also some very weak county parties, in an election year like this, insofar as training and support and resources to mount effective campaigns?
Well, we think New Jersey is ripe territory for Republicans this year. Your governor has done to New Jersey already what the President of the United States proposes to do to the rest of the country, which is to raise taxes to historic levels, spend like there's no tomorrow. And so while I think the country still has to learn what's in store for them, if we don't get a rein, if we don't bring some controls to the administration's disastrous fiscal policies, I think that message has already been received loud and clear in New Jersey. So we believe that that New Jersey offers us a real opportunity to be competitive this year. And so we're going to commit the full panoply of resources that we possibly can bring to bear in New Jersey. We're going to do our training programs. We're already working with the assembly leaders for GOPAC to participate in the training of legislative candidates and their staff. We'll look at direct support for candidates, and would like to do something also in your gubernatorial race because we think that we have a real chance of winning the governorship this time in 2009. If we could win the governor's race in New Jersey and win the governor's race in Virginia, my adopted state, which are the only two states holding elections this year, I think that would put us in very, very good position to have a strong 2010.
Yeah, I think most of us remember how 2005, when the Democrats rolled up victories here in New Jersey and down in Virginia, that was the beginning of 2006 and the long slide, painful slide.
No question about it. And if you want to go back to happier times, in 1993, we won the governor's race in New Jersey and in Virginia, and of course we elected Rudy Giuliani mayor of New York City. And it was that trifecta, I think, that really gave us the confidence as a party to move into 1994, where we had an historic year, took over the House of Representatives.
I know that you've written a lot about conservatism and branding in the GOP, and as we all know, right now the GOP is undergoing a lot of soul searching. So I thought maybe briefly you could give us some of your thoughts on the party's ideological direction, and also what specific role you think GOPAC may have to play, whether it's guiding the message or simply going to a campaign and facilitating them being able to put out their own particular brand of conservatism.
Well, I think, my view is I'm a conservative. I'm a Reagan conservative, and so my views is that our party historically is the party of limited government, and of small government, low taxes, and we're the party of traditional values too. That's a relatively new part of the party that came, I think, with President Reagan's election. So those are the principles of our party now, and so I think candidates that grow up within the Republican Party, if you will, generally speaking, I think adhere to those principles. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean that every one of our candidates applies each of those principles in exactly the same way. I mean, we're going to have some differences of interpretation, some difference of emphasis, and I think that's a healthy thing. we have libertarians, we have traditional values conservatives, we have foreign policy conservatives that are primarily interested in defense issues. We have people who are most interested in protecting the Second Amendment. I mean, they're an important part of our coalition. So we have these different strains of conservatism, and so it would be logical, I think, that in New Jersey you would have, a brand of republicanism that isn't exactly the same as what you might have in South Carolina, for example. It's not a bad thing. I think that's healthy for our party as long as we recognize that we have a lot more that brings us together than divides us. And as I say, I think what brings us together is that we're the party of limited government, we're the party of low taxes, we're the party of the private sector, and we're the party of strong national defense and of traditional values. Now within that big tent, if you will, I think there's room for a lot of different kind of Republicans. So my view would be to say that we should emphasize the things that unite Republicans and develop proposals that play off of our principles that really can make a positive difference in people's lives. Patient-driven, high-quality, low-cost health care. I mean, there are proposals out there that Republicans have been advancing that could move us toward that. That could move us toward that goal. Energy security, developing more domestic energy sources in the United States, quality education through more choice in education. School choice, I think, is a good one. Public-private partnerships for development of more infrastructure. I think those are the kinds of things that I think are totally consistent with our principles, and yet are things that I think we can go to the American public on that can make a real difference in their lives. Now, as far as GOPAC is concerned, of course, we are emphasized to the next generation of Republicans. So I think there's a couple things we can do. Number one, since we work at the local and state level, we can popularize proposals that are made at that level with the hope of trying to get those replicated around the country and maybe making it national policy at some point. And then secondly, oftentimes it's easier to elect a non-traditional Republican in a so-called blue state at the state legislative level or at the mayoral level or that level, as opposed to trying to elect a governor or senator. So if we can elect some Republicans in so-called blue states or Democratic areas, so we get a foothold in some of those states, I think that's something else that GOPAC can help